When we say the greatest eruption in the history of mankind, the first thing that comes to mind might be Mount Vesuvius. While Vesuvius is undoubtedly one of the most powerful volcanic eruptions in recorded human history, it was on an island in present-day Indonesia that the most powerful eruption ever took place. The island is called Sumbawa, which was then part of the Dutch East Indies. Sumbawa lies in the heart of the Indonesian archipelago, surrounded by the deep blue waters of the Flores Sea. Its rugged landscape, formed by volcanic activity over thousands of years, is dotted with dense forests and steep mountains. For centuries, the island was home to small kingdoms and villages, where people lived off the land, cultivating rice and trading spices. But life on Sumbawa wasn't just about the gentle rhythms of farming and trade. The island sits along the Pacific Ring of Fire, one of the most geologically active and volatile regions on Earth. Beneath the surface, tectonic plates constantly shift and clash. And it was in this unstable environment that Mount Tambora rose, a towering volcano standing over 4,000 meters high, one of the tallest peaks in the archipelago. To the people of Sumbawa, Tambora was a constant presence, a mountain they had lived alongside for generations. But few could have imagined that this mountain would soon bring devastation, not only to their island, but to the entire world. Beneath its quiet slopes, Tambora held within it the potential for an eruption so powerful that it would change the global climate and rewrite the course of history. At first glance, Tambora may have seemed peaceful, its slopes covered with green forests and hidden trails. But over 2 centuries ago, this dormant peak became the epicenter of one of the deadliest and most powerful volcanic events in human history. In April of 1815, Tambora exploded with such violence that it altered the course of global history, causing a year without a summer, triggering famine across continents, and resulting in the deaths of tens of thousands. But what really happened during those fateful days? How did this sleeping giant unleash such chaos on the world? It all began on April 5, 1815, when the first ominous signs appeared. A deep rumbling echoed through the ground, and ash began to fall from the sky, blanketing villages in a thick, grey shroud. The people of Sumbawa, who had lived in Tambora's shadow for generations, knew that something was wrong, but the scale of the impending disaster was unimaginable. For days, the volcano shook the ground, and the sky above Sumbawa was darkened by ash clouds. Then, on April 10, 1815, Mount Tambora unleashed its full fury. The mountain erupted with a deafening explosion, louder than anything ever heard before. A column of volcanic material was hurled more than 40 kilometers into the sky, turning day into night and shaking the earth with the force of hundreds of atomic bombs. Lava, ash, and deadly gases poured out of the volcano, triggering pyroclastic flows, fast-moving avalanches of searing gas and rock that raced down the mountain at terrifying speeds, wiping out everything in their path. Villages were buried, forests incinerated, and in just a few hours, tens of thousands of people were dead, victims of the violent forces of nature. But the devastation didn't end there. Tambora's eruption had far-reaching consequences that spread far beyond Sumbawa and Indonesia. The eruption ejected massive amounts of volcanic ash and sulfur dioxide high into the atmosphere, where they circled the planet, forming a veil that blocked out the sun. This caused global temperatures to plummet. By 1816, the world was plunged into a climate crisis. Known as the year without a summer, this year saw unseasonal frosts, droughts and floods across the northern hemisphere. Crops failed, leading to widespread famine, and millions of people faced starvation. The effects were felt everywhere, from the fields of Europe to the farmlands of North America. For years after the eruption, famine, disease, and social unrest spread across the globe. Entire communities collapsed under the weight of the disaster, as the world struggled to cope with the fallout from this one cataclysmic event. The scale of Tambora's impact was staggering. When the volcano finally fell silent, it left behind a desolate landscape. The eruption and its immediate aftermath killed an estimated 71,000 people, most of them on the island of Sumbawa and nearby areas. But the disaster didn't stop there. The volcanic ash and gases released into the atmosphere triggered a chain reaction that would affect the entire planet. In the months that followed, temperatures across the globe dropped dramatically. Scientists estimate that the average global temperature fell by as much as 3 degrees Celsius, 5.4 degrees Fahrenheit. This may not sound like much, but even a small change in temperature can have devastating consequences on agriculture and ecosystems. As the volcanic debris spread, sunlight was blocked, and weather patterns became chaotic. The year 1816, often referred to as the year without a summer, saw unprecedented cold waves, crop failures, and food shortages. Snow fell in June in parts of North America and Europe. In Quebec, Canada, the cold spell was so severe that ice was reported on lakes and rivers in August. Europe, already struggling from the aftermath of the Napoleonic Wars, was hit particularly hard. In Switzerland, endless rain and freezing temperatures destroyed crops, leading to widespread famine. It's estimated that over 200,000 people in Europe died from starvation and diseases exacerbated by malnutrition. Grain prices skyrocketed across the continent, and food riots broke out in France, England, and Ireland. In the United States, 1816 saw frost during the summer months, ruining crops in New England. Corn and wheat prices soared, causing food shortages that rippled through the economy. The resulting famine forced many American families to migrate westward, seeking new land to farm, changing the demographic landscape of the country. Even further afield in India, the eruption triggered droughts followed by devastating monsoons, which led to cholera outbreaks that spread across the subcontinent, killing tens of thousands. China's Yunnan province, a crucial rice-producing region, was hit by unseasonable cold and frost, leading to massive crop failures and famine. Tambora's eruption also played a role in influencing cultural history. With the gloomy, cold weather trapping many inside, 1816 became known as the Year of Darkness in literary circles. Mary Shelley, confined to a villa in Switzerland by the miserable weather, began writing what would become her famous novel, Frankenstein. Lord Byron, similarly stranded by the endless rain, wrote his haunting poem Darkness, a reflection of the apocalyptic mood caused by the catastrophic eruption. But beyond the literary impact, Tambora's eruption exposed just how vulnerable humanity is to natural disasters. It served as a stark reminder that even a single volcanic eruption could reshape the world in ways no one could have predicted. Mount Tambora's eruption remains, to this day, the largest and deadliest volcanic eruption in recorded history. The legacy of that fateful explosion continues to be felt, a sobering reminder of the fragility of human life in the face of nature's unimaginable power.